Hello, welcome back to HMS Odyssey Presents, and we're still in it with Meg Zeek. Today, we're going to finish up some of the centers, and then we're going to dive into the profile, what that means, and how it applies. I hope you enjoy. If you do, hit the like, drop a comment, and subscribe.
So your last energetic center that we haven't gone over just yet, right there at the bottom, that is your root. And so as you can see, it is white, meaning it's undefined, meaning again, just a little refresher, that it's more susceptible to conditioning. So in this center, this is like where your stress lives. So when you are feeling stress, this is, again, another good place, kind of like your solar plexus, to say, is this mine or is this belonging to someone else? Because again, like, you can very easily take that energy on from other people. It also makes you just a little less able to handle large amounts of stress. Now, for you, that you have a good trade-off there because you've got your sacral and your willpower, your heart center defined. So that really helps push you along. It gives you that energetic push. Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I've heard people describe the root, but the way you said it was different, and I like that. And that's funny because I do handle stress differently when I'm in or around different groups of people.
Oh.
And it's actually really funny because I thought the root center was like a big energy powerhouse, but in human design, it isn't.
It is, right? So if you had it defined, then what I would say to you in that instance is, just because you can handle a lot of stress doesn't mean you should, right? So those people can create lots of energy with it. For you, it can be just a little bit more of an energy drainer.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's really kind of learning and I slightly dislike the word balance, but when we're talking about like the circuitry of the body, keeping it in stabilization, right? Yeah. Regulation. So with a open root 2, I always talk about just nervous system regulation. And I'm sure you do quite a bit of that, like your breath work, meditation, those kinds of things are really helpful for somebody with an undefined root.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I found that it's, as I start creating more habits, other habits start to wane. And, if I forget to meditate for a few days, like it's very noticeable. The difference. It's very noticeable.
And I can definitely relate to that as well. Now, I don't think I've told you anything about my chart yet. All of my centers, except for my ajna, that second triangle, and in the head space, and my throat, all the rest of them are white.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So meditation's very important for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, very cool. Yeah. No, that's really helpful actually to know. And
yeah, it's a good practice. Like really and even just when you're getting in these situations where you're noticing that you're feeling more stressed, your heart rate is raising, remembering that, like, obviously the root is at the base of your energetic chain. Right. And the root is probably the root, right? So focusing your energy back there and being able to regulate there and build up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, in other words, you can do some meditation, you could do some grounding work, like putting your actual feet on the ground, grass, dirt, whatever, can diffuse some of that energy.
Yeah. Do you find that that's ever like a issue for you?
What, putting my feet on the ground or meditating?
Feeling your nervous system become dysregulated and not having something kind of quick to help reset it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question. I've learned so many different modalities that I feel like as I go through different modalities and then I experience certain symptoms of whatever,
Yeah.
if it's stress, I have lots of tools to deal with it. So it's really
Right.
what tool is right for what situation, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I still make it a habit. When I was younger, I was very much, the kid running around with bare feet as much as possible, right? So
Hmm.
I still try to adopt that habit when I do, some work outside and stuff. Obviously, we have dogs, so I got to be a little careful sometimes. But as much as I can, I like to walk barefoot.
There you go. I love that. So I guess I'll just give like two quick um, scenarios where say if one of your viewers is also has an undefined root and they need like a quick reset for themselves. Let's say you're sitting like we are now. If you are able to, I know I think you have armrests on the side of your chair. I
I do.
don't. So, and you know how my morning went earlier. So I'm actually supporting my root right now by getting in that yogi position where with your feet crossed, I'm sitting almost crisscross applesauce.
Okay.
Uh, so that's a little tool you could use if you're sitting. Um,
So like full lotus or half lotus.
right. Yes.
Yeah, I wish I could do
Well, full.
that.
um, and then another one that like I like to use between calls or transitions, and you've probably done this yourself or seen it before. And I don't know that I have the best space to show you, but just standing up onto your tiptoes, big deep breath in, reaching up to the sky, and then when you breathe out, you're almost jumping down to the ground. And it's a quick grounding reset. So I like to give those options to people
Okay.
especially when they have an undefined root. So
Okay.
yeah, two little quick grounding activities.
Cool. I like it. I'm digging it.
Awesome. So we have not gone over your profile yet. So we're gonna flip to that, which is your 3-5, the great life experimenter. And
Okay.
I love that is are we
Did you
pausing?
need it back up?
No, no,
Okay.
oh no.
I just want to see some more
I
of
was
your
like, are we
face
pausing?
since the little less interaction with the chart now.
Got it. Yes. So I love that one's called the Great Life Experimenter. Sometimes when you look it up, it'll be the Martyr Heretic and
I've seen
fellow
both.
3-5 here, remember?
Yeah.
I don't like those words. They don't feel good. And it is a little bit true. So with that 3 being your more conscious traits, and the 5 being more unconscious traits, they pull on each other. So the 3 really represents like change, transition, transformation. You are somebody who, I say it like life is a playground. There's again, an experiment. Great life experiment. There's always something new to try, something new to learn, something new to apply. And so you're always looking for these new things, whether they be learning experiences, actual like get out and adventure, people, all of it. The 5, that more subconscious area, it kind of has this like invisible wall. And I don't say this about all the unconscious areas, right? So anybody that has a 5 as their unconscious side, they're going to have kind of this invisible wall that keeps some of their personality away from everyone else. Like there's probably only 1 or 2 people that are really, really going to know the true you as like in your lifetime. And those people are, the people that really see you. And it's not that you do it on purpose. It's really not something that you're super aware of. Yet when people dig and they ask us things, and I'll say us because I'm the same, right? They ask us things, you can feel maybe like a little prick or a little something pop up. Like, why would they want to know that? Or do I even know that about myself? So it's this also like constant digging that creates a desire to be more self-aware too. But on the other end of that, people who are trying to get to know you, and this is something that whenever I do a reading for an entrepreneur and they have a 5 in the back, I always remind them, some people are going to feel like they can't connect to you because there's something there, and it's like that little invisible wall. So being really aware of that and adding vulnerability into your day-to-day conversations, your business conversations, all of it, adding an element of vulnerability to not only open yourself up, it also allows people to trust us a little bit more. So yeah, kind of interesting there, right? Do you have questions? Looked like you did.
No, I just making connections as you're saying them, like the 3. I mean, that's totally true. Let's just say we're on a hiking trail and there's a fork in the road. It's almost like I get nervous because I want to explore both sides and every branch of both sides. It's not like I want to choose a way and then I want to see everything. Like I'm the guy who gets a video game and they're like, oh, it should take 5 hours to beat the video game. And I'm like at 10 hours in and I'm like halfway through the game and I'm like, I have to explore everything. I want to talk to every character. I want to pick up everything I can. I want to maximize everything. So it's funny, like it's totally true with the 3, and then the 5, absolutely. And like, it's like I told stories about something and I've just like left out certain details, and it just flows. And I'm like, I wonder why I didn't even say like this little chunk and this little chunk, like,
and that's a great question. So, I mean, next time that you hear yourself doing that, I would say like, hey, self, why did you leave that out?
Yeah.
And there may be like a really deep reason, and there may be like the storyteller side of you that says the story's way better without those details, right? There may not be a super deep meaning, and yet again, there could be.
Yeah, I was about to jump out of the plane, but then I needed to tie my shoe. Like,
yes, then I had to do that.
I'm just gonna leave that part out. Yeah, it's just so funny because like you said that, and I just like thought of like times where I'd be maybe it's just relevant or not relevant to the situation. Like if I'm telling a story, there's going to be like a point to the story, and I want to reach the point to the story so the listener can get the maximum amount of whatever it is out of that story. And telling like little bits and pieces might distract from the overall theme, so my brain naturally just like filters some of the stuff out. So it's funny because like that's what I thought of when you described the 5. Like it's interesting. And since my accident, like I've gotten, and then like I had this profound spiritual awakening. Like that was to the point where it's like, oh, okay, like I don't care. Like if people are gonna like me, why would they not want to like me for like who I am to the fullest extent, right?
Yes, there you go. I love that. And I do say this too. This is probably a good time to put this in here. I know I always say take what resonates. Now, remember, this is your birth chart too, right? So your birth chart doesn't know all of the awakenings and all of the awareness that you gather through your life, right? So with human design, it's like this is the most aligned version of you, and when you become aware of it, then you get to expand, right? So that might, like you said, that the accident spiritual awakening could have had like a major kind of twist. And in human design, you also have transits where as time goes on, your chart slightly changes, like it shifts a little bit. Like so and you can look those up too. I'll send you an app that helps with that.
Okay.
So you can see kind of the transits. It just doesn't show you what it looks like on the body chart.
Yeah, I was just curious, like if you have like an awakening or a profound something that happens in your life. So like let's just say my accident.
Mm-hmm.
You go in and put that into the chart, like where it happened and stuff, and then or whatever.
So like, for instance, I did a reading once for somebody who had their spleen taken out, as people do, right? So he's like, do I still have energy there? I'm like, yes, right? So energy is energy versus like the physical.
Yeah, it's almost like the what do they call it? Oh my God, I can't remember. Ghost limb syndrome.
Oh
So,
yeah.
we've, I was in the military and I was in the hospital, and several of the guys that I knew had limbs that were amputated,
Yeah,
and energetically, they still feel it, and they
right.
there's like a ghost pain syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll wake up, and like, especially people who are new to being amputees, like there was a guy next to me and he lost his leg.
Wow.
And below the knee, and he was like, he'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming in pain. He'd be like, oh my God, my leg hurts, and he reached down, there was nothing there.
Right. And
like phantom
it's so
pain.
crazy to imagine, yet being aware of your own energy, you can kind of start to imagine like the last physical memory that they had was really painful, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they're continuing to
Oh
live
yeah, very good.
is my assumption. Again, I've never been there.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good I lost the word for it. Analogy, I guess. Comparison. Analogy. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So with the 3-5. Okay, because remember, experimenter, and got a little bit of a wall up over here.
Okay.
So with that, what typically happens, I mean, especially when we're constantly trying new things, how many times did Albert Einstein fail? How many times did Abraham Lincoln fail? Failure is a word that really can penetrate for a 3-5 because we've experienced a lot of it. Oftentimes when you look up a 3-5, it'll say, this person has experienced a lot of heartbreak. And it's true to some extent, and most of it is, and a lot of it can be attributed to us just constantly going and going and going for these new obstacles.
Yeah.
And so again, like that can mean relationships, that can mean jobs, different scenarios. So I always ask a 3-5 to define failure for me. Like, what does that word mean to you?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's difficult because I think of it in several capacities. I obviously like to win. I'm a very competitive individual, right? So losing sucks. But failure, it has a little bit to do with quitting. So, I've kind of adopted several little mottos over life, and you're only a failure if you quit.
Okay.
And you're only a failure if you lose the lesson. There
you go.
Yeah. So, ironically, I thought of my first girlfriend. Like when you started talking about that, I thought of my first girlfriend and how I would act and how I was around her. And now I think of Dorothy and how I am around her. And I was like, without that first girlfriend, I'd probably be the same thing from Dorothy, and it probably wouldn't have worked out.
Right.
So, obviously there's a few people in between, but that's the comparison that I was like, really? I mean, like, that relationship didn't work for several reasons, but like they were all just like catalysts to get to that, right? Because I'm not even close to the same person.
Yes. So. Yes. So that's really like the end goal for a 3-5 is taking the lesson, right? So your phrase is similar to mine. I say there's like, I'll tell my children, you don't win or lose, you win or you learn. Like it's one or the other. I'm like, we don't lose here.
Yeah.
We win or we learn. And sometimes both, right? So part of your experience in life is to learn from all of this, all of these different experiences that you have. And then it's almost like you're paving the way for other people. People start to watch you. They're like, okay, this person just does whatever they want. And maybe I want to try that. Like they seem pretty wise. Like they did that because they kept trying new things. Okay. Yeah. So it's almost like you're kind of leading the way for people. And we may not know who those people are all the time. But there's this little trailblazer piece of us, right? And you get to glean wisdom. And people eventually start to look at you like, okay, you're kind of this wise guru. You're this really crazy, weird, wise guru. So at the end of it all, if you stay in alignment and if you take everything that you can from all of your experiences, it pays off.
And that's so funny that you said that, like the wise old guru, because even when I was thinking of when I was younger, so have you ever heard of a hero's journey?
Yes.
So everyone starts out as a victim, right? Because there's always good and bad, and that happens in people's lives. So from being the victim, you can either choose the path of righteousness and become the hero, or you can take the path of vengeance and become the villain. And then if you become the hero, you actually they both meet, but eventually you evolve into the guide. So you can look at almost any movie out there,
right? And
this is apparent, right? So Lord of the Rings, you got Frodo, who's a little frumpy dump, and he's got this little ring of insane importance, and he takes the hero's journey, right? And so him and his buddy Sam, and then the wizard shows up, right? And the wizard is the guide. He's already done stuff like this, and he already has the knowledge, and he can help. He doesn't do the journey for you, but he's like a pretty crucial element.
Gandalf is very important, yes.
Yeah. You can that's just the first thing that came to mind, but I mean you can think of there's so many movies. They all follow that path. And it's funny because when I was younger, I looked up to my grandpa a lot. Probably one of the main reasons that I joined the Marine Corps. And he had a full head of hair at 82, and he was just, I don't know, he was just smart and wise, and he didn't talk a lot. He talked when it was necessary, and that's something I've always strived for. I don't know why, but now it makes a lot more sense now that you're explaining this, because it's I don't do whatever I want. I do whatever I want, but it's according to the base of knowledge that I have, right? So it's almost a little bit calculated, but also not.
Yes.
Where if people see it as chaotic, and I'm I kind of know what I'm doing. There's a variable in there, but I'm not just flying blind, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. And people will say what are you doing? Right. And you're doing the right thing. I know that I am.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's all that you have to know.
Yeah. So, I think I've noticed that. I feel like some people definitely let on that they are paying attention, and some people don't. I'd say one of my best friends, I had my awakening, and he is one of my best friends. He's the only one that lives close by, so he's the only one I hang out with a lot. But I get to talking to him, and as I become more spiritual, I'm talking to him in a deeper capacity. And I asked him if he ever meditated, and he goes, "No, I don't do any of that." And I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months later, he was at my house, and his phone rang, and I grabbed his phone and went to bring it to him. And I didn't get it in time, but so the call hung up and like the phone was still open. And I was like, whatever. So I put it down and I noticed he had a meditation app on his phone,
Yes.
but he never said anything. So it's cool.
Yep, that is really cool. Yes, a leader sometimes without knowing so.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's a great one. Yay.